Welcome to VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards, a daily podcast bringing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights' 2023 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Monday, May 22nd, and yesterday the VGK stormed back late from a one-goal deficit in Game 2 to grab an overtime win and take a 2-0 series lead in the Western Conference Final over the Dallas Stars. Vegas trailed deep into the third period yesterday, and desperate for a goal, it was a misfit who came through. With 2:22 on the clock, Jonathan Marchessault potted the tying goal off a great backhand feed from Jack Eichel and sent the two teams to overtime for the second straight game. And luckily for Vegas, they got the same result, as Chandler Stephenson scored just over 1 minute into the extra frame to deliver Vegas the win. Game 2 was a case of the Knights snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. And after another thriller in this series, we turn to D'Uva and Gary Lawless to recap the action.
On a Sunday afternoon in Las Vegas, the heat and humidity was up. The excitement on the ice was there. Gary Lawless, the Knights take a 2-0 series lead in the Western Conference Final on the strength of overtime goals from Brett Howden in Game 1 and Chandler Stephenson in Game 2.
You're left with the impression that maybe the Golden Knights stole this game. Only 10 shots through the first two periods and were trailing for much of the game. Late in the third, they tie it up and then they win it quick in overtime. And someone texted me a little while ago saying, what a win. And, this is a person who's involved in hockey. And then my response was, might have stole this one. And their response was, that's what good teams do. And if you look, through the annals of Stanley Cup history, no one's perfect. And you need things to go your way from time to time. And they got a timely save from Adin Hill. Adin Hill kept the minute for the bulk of the first 40 minutes. And then didn't have a lot of work on the third, but early in overtime gets challenged. And it's a point blanker, and he makes a save. And just about a minute later, Chandler Stephenson chips it in.
Vegas coming out left to right. Lose it at center. Pietrangelo again. Chased by Pavelski. Pietrangelo banks it behind his net. Martinez centering save! Knights had trouble with the puck behind their own goal. Pavelski creates a play, but the Stars can't finish it. And around to the near side, Lindell pitches it to the Vegas line. Johnston knocked it down. McNabb smacks it ahead into cross the line. Stone to the right. Theodore shooting, save. Rebound is loose. They score! Another win for Vegas to take a 2-0 series lead. The Flamingos are on the ice. Vegas strikes just a minute and 12 seconds into the fourth period, and a 2-0 series lead for Vegas.
Vegas is big players. Mark Stone had 2 points, a goal and an assist. Jack Eichel, huge assists on Marchessault's goal, to tie it. And Chandler Stephenson, who, had an uneven game, as we'll call it at that, ends up scoring the winner.
Yeah, there's obviously, the pace is picked up and things happen quick. And, yeah, obviously need to keep my emotions a little bit more in check. Never want to give a team with a good power play 2 opportunities. So, yeah, it was obviously nice to finish it off with that, I guess.
You get big-time goaltending. He stops 26 of 28 Dallas Stars shots, Adin Hill. And your big guys find a way to stick the knife in just at the right time. They kind of banged it off the ribs for a while, and then they found a little opening and found some soft flesh, and they are up 2-0 over the Dallas Stars heading to Dallas.
You talk about stealing a win. This is a team that has bounced back so often, and they've not had struggles that have lasted multiple games. Now you start to look at it as their struggles don't last more than a period or so. It's why in some games that they have trailed in the first period, their second periods have been so good. Well, today, for the first time in a while, their second period wasn't great. But what do you know? In the third period, they hold serve until the final couple of minutes, and then they get a goal early in overtime. In other words, they score 2 goals in the span of basically 3.5 minutes. So they have not just bounced back game to game, it's within games.
Well, Bruce Cassidy has talked from day one about building. and getting better and getting better. This is the best team they've played. This team's better than Winnipeg for sure, and I think they're better than Edmonton as well. And yet, they're up 2-0. They didn't do that. Vegas did not do that in the Winnipeg series. It was 1-1. They didn't do it in the Edmonton series. It was 1-1. They won the first game, and the Oilers came back. And today, the Golden Knights absorbed Dallas's response for about 55 minutes and then said, okay, we've had enough of that, and then flipped the game on its ear and tied it up with the Marchessault 2:22 left in the game, I think, in the regulation. Marchessault ties it up.
Curled back, now starts forward again. From the center logo, puts it on goal. Bouncer stopped by Ottinger. Suter plays it behind his goal. Left wall, Barbashev. Behind for Eichel. He centered, score! Marchessault! What a pass! Eichel to Marchessault. He ties the game. 2:22 to go in the third period. What a setup! That's a skill play.
That's as pretty as it gets, Dan. And then 138 into overtime, they get the winner from Stephenson. So all of that is speaks to what Bruce has been talking about all year, and that is getting better and getting better. And again, this is a team effort. Pietrangelo led them in ice time. I think he was around 24 minutes in regulation. I don't know what the numbers were after overtime, but could have been too much because there was only a minute and a half more of game time. So they continue to do it as a team.
We function that way all year. Different terms like no passengers, right? We need everyone. We don't rely on 2 or 3 players or the goaltender standing his head. We need a timely save. We certainly got that in overtime. Timely goals. Marchessault gets a big one for us, gives us a chance. So there's certainly guys that we need to be drivers, I'll say, but they don't have to be the driver 82 times, then again, and how many times in the playoffs, right? So different guys can get us going, and we saw that tonight. We saw it the other night. Teddy Bluger scores a big goal we thought would be the go-ahead goal. But so there's different people that contribute for us every night, and that's why we're having success.
And they continue to get better. Like this game, if they had chances to finish early that they misfired on, and they took 2 bad penalties, I think that'll be a big focus. That discipline and not retaliating, because Colin Miller clearly has made it his mission to try and get under their skin. And Mason Marchment dove a couple times, and veterans Dan O'Rourke and Wes McCauley didn't bite, but again, someone else might. So you got to be careful around that player. Don't give Mason Marchment a reason to flop, because if you give him one, he will, and maybe he fools somebody. Don't buy into, you're 2-0 up on Colin Miller. What has he got to say to you that can really bother you? The important thing is getting the next win and then trying to get the win after that.
So in game 1, neither side scored a special teams goal. In game 2, each side gets 1 power play goal. You kind of figure that's a wash. There haven't been a lot of power plays in the series in either game. So at 5-on-5, the word continues to be the Knights superior when playing at 5 skaters a side.
Without question, and that will not change in this series. The Dallas defense is not built to withstand what the Golden Knights bring. But it was interesting. We asked Riley Smith about it, and he said it's a process. You have to do it shift after shift after shift, and you have to be able to use all 4 lines in order to get that puck down low and wear down the opposition. And they did it early in this game, and then they got away from it for a while, and then they got back to it late. So, Bruce Cassidy, I think it's going to be very simple. His message is going to be, okay, we got them when they weren't at their best. We got them when we weren't at our best. We know if we do this, we dump the puck in and get the puck behind their D and make them defend and wear them down, we will win games. We will put ourselves in a really good position to win games. I'll say it like that. That will clearly be the message from Bruce Cassidy, and they're out in a place right now. You can say this. This is not getting ahead of yourself. 2 more wins and you go to the Stanley Cup final. So find a way to be disciplined and get it done.
Knights score 3 goals and win. Throughout their playoff history, the numbers are crazy good. When they score 3, they win. Looked like for a while they might be held to 1. The 3 games they have lost during these postseason games, they've scored exactly 1 goal. Once against the Jets in Game 1, and then in the 2 games against the Oilers. They managed to get the late goal to tie, and then obviously the overtime goal to win it. This is different than when the Knights and Stars played back in the 2020 bubble, when offense was the big struggle. The only game they won was a Robin Lehner shutout. They lost 2 overtime games in that series to the Stars, including the Game 5 clincher for Dallas. Pete DeBoer was there for that. He's here for this series. What can you do if you're the Dallas Stars to try to withstand this Golden Knights team that seems to find ways to win?
Yeah, they're going to have to find their very best effort. And it'd be interesting to see we haven't heard what Pete has to say about this game yet. He hasn't spoken yet at the time of this recording. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. He's going to, I would imagine he's just going to say, we're getting close to having our backs against the wall. It's not an elimination game, but we got to win a game. So they've got to find their very best.
That's part of the playoff journey. The teams that go deep find ways to win in overtime. I really liked our game tonight. I thought we did a bunch of really good things, fixed a lot of things from Game 1. I thought Jack Eichel and Marchessault make a big time play there to tie it, and we respond. Our chance in overtime was as good or better than theirs. We just got to stick them in the net.
He's down 0-2 in the series, but is it any less troubling knowing that they both came in overtime, that you guys were right there?
Yeah, sure, we could have won both games. They held serve at home. We've got to go and do the same thing. And, I don't think it's less troubling that we lost both games in overtime. I think the positive piece is that we played a much better game tonight. And if we play that type of game, then we got a chance to win when we go home there.
On Vegas' second goal, what do you hope to see from that play, just in general, from what Ryan kind of?
Yeah, I'm not going to start assigning blame. We played a hell of a game for tonight. And, there's mistakes made, and they cashed in, and they made a real good play. And Jack Eichel makes a world-class pass.
In Game 1, I said to you, Vegas looks faster. But you never know, is one team not moving their feet? While Dallas was going better today, Vegas is faster. That's without question. Vegas is the faster team in this series. Dallas has some guys that can really score. Vegas has, I would say this, Hintz and Heiskanen and Pavelski are A++ players. Vegas, Jack Eichel's an A+ player, and so is Pietrangelo. Then Vegas has a bunch of A's. Stone, Theodore, Marchessault, Carlson, Smith. There's a lot of guys in that, Stephenson, a lot of guys in that, in the thick of the sandwich, in the meat of the sandwich. Dallas doesn't have as many guys like that.
In the regular season, Jason Robertson scored 46 goals, 109 points. But in the postseason, had only 2 goals prior to this series, shooting percentage around 5%. He now does have 2 goals in this series, but his team has managed a total of 5 in 2 games, while the Knights have put up 7. In other words, after Robertson, Heiskanen scored his first of the postseason today. There are only so many other places that you can go to find that offensive production. The way that the Knights are defending makes it all the more difficult.
I don't watch Robertson enough to say what he is or what he isn't. I can tell you in this series, he hasn't been a driver. He's been a finisher, but he hasn't been a driver. And that, you look at, Domi has gone really quiet, so has Sagan. Jamie Benn has gone quiet so far. Dadonov had been a big factor, so had Wyatt Johnson. Their bottom 6, their bottom 9, hasn't done anything in this series.
Other than the Jamie Benn game tying goal in Game 1. Other than that, and that was a 6-on-5.
And he's out there with the guys that have been drivers, Hintz and Pavelski.
What changes might Pete DeBoer make? We know that Yanni Hakanpää, who played all 82 regular season games, right-handed shot defenseman, has been unavailable for the last couple. Played 11 in the playoffs, but not in this series. Ty Dellandrea played all 82 regular season games, has now played only 11 out of the 15 in the playoffs, 1 goal in the playoffs. Maybe he goes in, or maybe change the forward combinations. There are only so many choices. We know that Jake Ottinger is going to be in goal, though.
Yeah, Jake Ottinger has now played in 77 games this season and been involved in 31 of their last 36. That's a lot of hockey. 31 of their last 36. They used him almost exclusively down the stretch, and he's started every playoff game, and now they've played 15? Yeah, there you go.
And Scott Wedgwood, the number 2, he has not started in the postseason, has played just over 50 minutes of relief spanning 2 games. We'll see what the Knights have in store for the Stars coming up in Dallas on Tuesday, where Vegas has some very good history, including the first game in franchise history, only 1 regulation loss at American Airlines Center in Dallas through their 6 seasons. Golden Knights victorious in Game 2 in overtime. Stone, Marchessault, and Stephenson, the Vegas goal scorers in support of Adin Hill. The Knights take a 2-0 series lead in the Western Conference Final.
Great analysis of Game 2 there by Dan and Gary. And before we leave you today, I want to share some more post-game sound that we heard after Game 2, starting on the Dallas side of things. Miro Heiskanen and Jason Robertson, the goal scorers yesterday for the Stars, spoke on their defeat and what they need to do as the series shifts back to Dallas.
No, I think we played a lot better today than the first game. I think if we keep doing that, we have a really good chance to win the team. It really doesn't matter how you lose 5-1 or overtime, but yeah, it's like I said, I think we played a lot better today than in the first game, and if we keep doing that and of course clean up some mistakes, and I think we're going to be fine.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, all you know is that there are 20 guys on that bench on the ice who are going through it, as well as the coaching staff. So all you can really do is rally with each other whenever something happens. If it's good, I mean, same thing. If it's bad, but you just have to keep your emotions in check and stay our structured game.
Can you take any solace in the fact that you guys obviously played a lot better hockey game than Game 1?
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, if we played like really bad and won, I mean, we'll take that. So.
And lastly, Jonathan Marchessault made an interesting comment post-game comparing this year's team to the inaugural Golden Knights squad back in the 2017-18 season and shared some of the lessons that he learned from that playoff run.
Yeah, this year we have the best team we ever had, I think. But not only on paper, we just have the way we play. I think that's the biggest thing. And we're playing good hockey right now. But, I mean, if you guys remember the first year, no one thought we were going to win against Winnipeg in semifinals, and we won. And we thought that we hit our stride there, and we won the first game in the final, and we lose 4 in a row. So there's so much more work to do. I don't want to think too far ahead. I think it's one of those things that kind of slip away from us that year. And I know that I learned from my mistakes from that year, and you want to take it one game at a time. I don't want to think too far. Right now my head is in Game 3 in Dallas, and we'll take it from there.
Well, Jonathan not looking too far ahead just yet, and he is solely focused on the next step in front of the Golden Knights, which is Game 3 of the Western Conference Final. That will take place tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, and if you want to catch the game with a bunch of your fellow VGK faithful, there will be a watch party for Game 3 at The Lawn in downtown Summerlin. So head down and cheer on the VGK as they hit the road for the first time this series. And if you want to cheer on the Golden Knights in person, keep an eye out as holds are released for tickets to Game 5, which at the moment is if necessary. Vegas, of course, up 2-0 in the series at the moment, so there is no guarantee of Game 5 just yet, but be sure to be on the lookout for those ticket holds being released if this series does indeed require a 5th game. That'll wrap things up for today's episode, but before we go, I'll remind you and encourage you to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a moment of the team's quest for the Stanley Cup right here on VGK Today. Tomorrow, D'Uva is back with us as the Golden Knights prepare for Game 3 of the Western Conference Final. Justin Russo signing off for episode 36 of VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards.